hormones? Why do symptoms suddenly spiral? So this is the inflammation, the cortisol, and the autoimmune connection. So if you have any of these, this one's for you. So for lots of women, perimenopause is not just about those shifting hormones that are going on. It is when some of those underlying imbalances that we had going into our 40s, they've been maybe brewing below the scenes and just below the surface for years. Oh, now they make themselves known. So, number one spiraling reason, inflammation. This is actually everything that I do. So inflammation, that fire that is behind perimenopause. Great, Luka, you're a jerk. I know. Inflammation is not just about swollen joints, painful joints. It is not just about digestive issues. Inflammation has a really big role to play in our hormonal balance. Chronic low-grade inflammation can make some symptoms worse, like disrupting estrogen and progesterone signaling. Yeah, so because your stress response that is turned on when there's inflammation in the body, you'll make cortisol before you make progesterone. And cortisol is made by the adrenals. Now your adrenals can't make DHEA as well as they're supposed to, which is the replacement hormone. So for a body that has inflammation going on, it is going to drive your symptoms. It's going to disrupt the signaling between progesterone and estrogen, driving all of those symptoms, making heavy periods even heavier, sleep issues worse, histamine issues worse, and so on. It's also going to drive weight gain and insulin resistance. This is the driver. If you peel the onion layers, perimenopausal symptoms keep going, and you find that there's insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is just a symptom. What's the cause behind it? Inflammation. This is the root piece that everyone has, and this is the root piece that needs addressing when we go through perimenopause and have a hard time. Aggravating histamine sensitivities, of course it does, yeah. And worsening brain fog and fatigue. So, are you one that struggles with these things? Why does inflammation ramp up? Well, we did kind of cover that already. Estrogen, there's a little bit more to say to this though. Estrogen has anti-inflammatory effects. So when it fluctuates, inflammation can spike, especially when the estrogen is on the downside of things. Declining progesterone also means there's less calming support for your nervous system. And so you will tend to turn on the stress response a little bit sooner, which will make you prod the making of cortisol a little bit sooner. Yeah. Stress response in the body is the exact same response biochemistry of inflammation. So whatever you've got going on is going to prod that inflammatory cascade of biochemistry in the body, which makes your symptoms worse. Chronic stress makes it worse. Poor sleep, which is hard to achieve when you've got inflammation. And if you can't sleep, it makes it even worse. Like a snowball going down the side of a mountain. Great. It creates a cycle that is hard to break. I will give you that 100%. Yep. I have so many solutions behind the scenes. We're not going to cover all of them in today's class, but this gives you something to think about and something to pursue if this is you in particular. I want to make sure you've got your steps in front of you, and when it's time to implement them, reach out or do research or whatever. So at the end of the day, how is your burden of stress? That's what this is all about. Yeah, this is all about how much stress your body's having to handle, from external stress, things we can't control, internal stress of inflammation, blood sugar regulation, cortisol dysregulation, adrenals struggling, autoimmune, histamine issues. They all drive inflammation in the body, and emotional stress. Anything to do with relationships. History of trauma can play into there as well. So when you're looking at those three, to me, they add up to your personal burden of stress. And if you've got a big personal burden of stress going into perimenopause is going to ask you to look after things by giving you symptoms. Yeah. And it's going to be a time for you to step into what it is your body's been asking for a while. We'll help you uncover what it is she's asking for.